What about Dr. Jones? She's a doctor. She calls herself a health coach and she practices all over the country. My answer to that is she's probably not doing it correctly. And unless she's licensed in all of the states in which her patients are located, she is rolling the dice by committing crimes in each of those states. I'm Scott Rattigan at Functional Lawyer, and this is going to sound a little bit exasperated on my part because I answer these questions 2 or 3 times a week with new clients and existing clients sometimes, but it doesn't take long before my existing clients, understand the deal. So I'm going to make this and hopefully answer the question, but I know that people will have further questions. So the main topic is, health coach consultant role. There's a huge myth out there that's being promulgated or propagated by either people that want to sell you a course on how to do what they're doing, which may be illegal, or people that are trying to sell like get rich quick schemes to all these new entrepreneurs that are starting their functional medicine clinics. And they're saying that you can just call yourself a health coach or a consultant, and then you're free to practice around the whole country. That sounds great. Why would they lie to you? And the answer is, I don't know why they would lie to you, but they're giving you misinformation. So to recap, for telemedicine purposes, wherever the patient is located, that's where you're deemed to be practicing medicine. Or if you're calling yourself a health coach, but you're still practicing medicine, that is diagnosing, treating, preventing, or curing disease, illness, symptom, or condition. And some states go a little bit further and make it more broad than that. Whether or not you are using prescriptions, whether or not you take insurance, doesn't matter. As long as you're in the art of practicing medicine, that is the practice of medicine, whatever you call it, consultant, health coach, your actions control, not the label you give it. So if you are licensed in New York and you see a patient or a client in California, and yet you're kind of doing all the things you would normally do with clients in your state or at your practice, then you are practicing medicine without a license in California. And this goes for every state. It's a criminal offense, and there are civil penalties as well, as well as criminal financial penalties that go along with it. So whenever I tell people this, they say, well, what about Dr. Jones? This person who may or may not be really well known, kind of a quasi-celebrity, is saying that they are a consultant and practicing around the country. My answer to that is they're rolling the dice. They really are, unless they're licensed in a lot of states. They're rolling the dice by committing the crime and hoping they don't get caught. Now, I've talked about this in the past, kind of ad nauseum, and so I'll link to my prior content below. But the next question I always get is, well, then what are they doing, or how are they doing it? And my answer is, it's not a great idea to do, because there are literally millions of people in your state, for the most part, for most states, that need your services, want your services. I suggest focusing on those people that you can help legally, and then not worrying about having to look over your shoulder, because I'm reminded a lot of a quote that actually I first saw at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, where I went to school. We had quotes about honor and stuff painted all over the walls in the dorms. And one of them was, character is doing the right thing, even when no one's looking. So that's mostly attributed to J.C. Watts, but it's been attributed to various people over the years, and it's a good thing. I mean, service academies take honor much more seriously than most universities do. It's a huge part of our life at the service academy, and in fact, I'm trying to raise my 2 boys to kind of live up to that creed that a Rattigan will never lie, cheat, or steal. So my answer is that Dr. Jones is probably a low character person. And I'm not here to pass judgment. I am not perfect by any means. Raising those 2 boys holds up a mirror to all of my character flaws as well, and some of my defects. But it's just the point of doing what's right, even though you may not get caught. So I give this advice to everybody. One, focus on states in which you are licensed and see patients in those states. If you really are a person of high character, of honor, you will decline to see patients that call you from out of state. And that'll have a twofold benefit for you. One, you won't have to worry about breaking the law. Two, assuming that there are other high character doctors out there, and I imagine that all of you are, other high character doctors will also decline patients from out of state. So in this example, you live in North Carolina, a patient calls you from Texas. You say, sorry, I can't see you. I recommend you see a practitioner with a Texas license. That's fantastic. A Texas practitioner may get a call from a North Carolina patient or prospective patient. That Texas practitioner, if they're a person of high character, will say, I'm sorry, I can't see you. I'm not licensed in North Carolina. You should seek out a provider in your own state. That would be you in this scenario. And so it would have the benefit of, one, you're not having to worry about getting caught. Two, you may, if everybody kind of adopts this strategy, you may be able to capture more of the people for states in which you're licensed. And that's a good thing too. So really the point of today is just kind of to say, you can't call yourself a coach and then get rid of all the regulatory systems we have around the country. You can't call yourself a consultant, same thing. Doing so puts you in criminal jeopardy of being caught and convicted or prosecuted with a crime, as well as civil penalties. What about so-and-so? That's not your concern. It's their license, and they're taking a risk unless they're licensed in a bunch of states. If you're okay taking that same risk, I guess go for it. I'm here to tell you it's against the law. Where do you go from here? What are your options? One, focus on people in your state. Get a license in other states, or a handful of states now have a special purpose telemedicine only license that you can apply for. There's more information about that at functionallawyer.com. Get a telemedicine only license, start an online course, put together a book, write a book, help people from out of state and around the world if your book is good. So you've got plenty of options. And the last thing I'll leave you with is, if you're a solo provider, or even do this math, multiply it by how many providers are in your practice. Most functional medicine providers that have appointments of 45 minutes or more can really, really honestly see 5, maybe 6 patients a day, right? As far as the emotional investment that goes into it, the amount of notes you have to do, 6 seems like a lot, but we're going to go with 5 to keep the math easy. 5 patients a day on average over the course of a year is 1,250 patient slots. So 250 days times 5. Some of those patients will be repeat customers. So, if everybody comes twice, that's 625 patients that you need. If everybody comes, this math is going to get a little hairy. If everybody comes 3 or 4 times, you get the idea, right? Maybe like 200 people, maybe 100 people, and your practice is full and you're on a wait list. So you don't need to access 300 million, 350 million Americans to fill up your practice with 200 people a year. You just don't. If you live in a state of a smaller population, consider getting a full license or a telemedicine license in a state in which they have a higher population. For example, Florida allows anybody with a medical license, and others, lots of mid-levels and below as well, to apply for and receive a telemedicine registration license in the state of Florida, with which you can see patients in Florida, adding 22 million prospective patients to your legal pool of prospective patients. So 22 million plus however many are in your state, you can certainly fill your practice up with 1 to 200 patients per provider. So in conclusion, if you're planning to call yourself a consultant and just have free reign to practice around the country, I'm sorry to say that's illegal. 2, there are lots of other options out there for you to do it. 3, I wouldn't concern yourself with what others are doing without knowing all of their facts. It's likely that they are not in compliance with the law. I know it's frustrating to be in a regulatory industry such as medicine, or an industry that is regulated as tightly as medicine is, but that is the world in which we live. And the options are to fight against the wind or adjust the sails in your sailboat. So I imagine that adjusting your sails is going to be a lot easier than trying to get mad that the wind is not coming in the right direction, right? So to recap, be smart, be safe out there, be a person of high character, and you have less to worry about. You don't have to worry about as much if you're doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. Until next time, we'll see you guys. Thanks.